Okay, so Chris, you were telling me that during the filming process, you and John Travolta actually became good friends.
Yeah.
What was it like watching his process on set?
He pays attention to such detail. You know, when John comes on the set now, he's gonna, first of all, he's gonna make changes just about every single time because he wants it to be authentic.
So what has it been, Sam? 5, 6 years since you even won a race? It's been a long time since you were somebody.
Don't push it, Jack.
Hey,
Don't take my word for it. Ask your son.
I told him not to push.
he drives up the first day, and he'll probably kill me for telling this, but he drives up the first day to the racetrack, okay, and he's supposed to be this veteran race car driver in this movie, and his assistant comes pulling him up, and he pulls up in this pretty red Dodge truck, and he steps out, and he's already got his fire suit on, man, he's already in costume. He jumps out, and he says, "Chris," he said, "how do I look?" I said, "Like a rookie."
Is he too pristine?
And he said, "What, like a rookie?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "This is a dirt track, man." I said, "You've been racing forever. That's all brand new." He said, "Oh, my God." He said, "You're right. What do I do?" I said, "We got to dirty you up." I'm not kidding you. Everybody's gathering around. He says, "Well, put dirt on me." So we start getting in the mud and dirtying him up and putting grease all over him because he wants it to be so real. It was so cool because they had all these stunt drivers that they had on standby. John said, no. These guys here are all local. These are the best drivers out here. Looks like these guys do it. So they did. And the second team directors, they got all the local guys that race there every week to drive their own cars on the racetrack. And that was the ticket because these guys were phenomenal.
Talking about being authentic, I know you have a background in racing, and it was actually John Travolta who was the one to say, "Hey, Chris, you've got something here. You should pursue a career in acting." Talk us through that moment.
Well, yeah, actually it's funny how that worked out because when I was first put on this project, I was kind of just brought on to show John the ins and outs of racing. You know, he was going to do a racing movie and he didn't really know anything about racing, but as most good actors do, once they're preparing for a role that they're playing in a movie, they go out and they search for that character, they find that character, they mimic that character, you know, and he didn't know anybody. So when he come to Alabama, my name was brought up because I'm so, you know, I've done racing so much, and so they brought me in to meet him, and we talked, and we went through this for about 3 weeks, you know, me showing him what we do at the racetrack, how do we handle ourselves, you know, what to expect, because that's the biggest thing. John wanted this authentic. You know, he told me right off the bat that if we wasn't going to be authentic, he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, because he didn't want to embarrass the racing family. You know, and so while we was doing that, I had no idea that what they was talking behind my back between him and the director for this role they had of this guy named Jack Dunn, and they had a guy in New York casted for this role. But to my surprise, the director was telling John the whole time, "That's Jack Dunn. You think he can do Jack Dunn?" Well,
so they kind of casted you behind your back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, of course, John wasn't mentioning it to me. He was kind of watching me the whole time, because not only was he watching me for that, he was kind of watching what I do and how I carry myself around the racetrack. So he wanted to be able to do it. And so I was at the shop getting one of the cars ready to go to the racetrack for them, and the phone rang, and it was one of the producers. And he said, "Chris, I'm going to throw something at you that's going to sound really weird." And I said, "Well, okay." And he said, "You think you might want to play the part of this character we got called Jack Dunn?" I said, "Are you kidding me? What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I mean," he said, "it's not a real huge part, but it's an important part. And you're going to be doing it with John Travolta?" I said, "I'm going to do what?" And he said, and he explained it to me.
Yeah.
And he said, now, if you're going to get starstruck,
Mhm.
he said, it won't work. And I said, well, no, I ain't going to get starstruck. I've been with him for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and they said, well, are you going to get camera shy? I said, I don't think so.
Mhm.
And they said, well, they really want you to try to do this if you think you can do it.
Mhm.
So I hang up the phone, and I turn around, and my son was standing there. I said, I ain't doing this. He said, you're crazy. I said, I don't know. He said, you got to try it. He said, just go and listen to him. So I said, okay. So I do. I show up, and there's 2 other actors. Stumpy in the movie is played by Kevin Dunn. Very seasoned actor, very good.
Mhm.
Okay? He pulls me over there. He said, Chris, I'm going to help you. We ain't got but 30 minutes. And there was another girl there that she does a lot of acting, and they kind of threw all this at me at one time. And here comes the director, and he said, look, here's your dialogue.
Mhm.
I said, what's dialogue? He said, all of this.
Your lines.
Yeah, and so I look at this, and I said, you got to be kidding. He said, well, we're going to cut this out, we're going to cut this out, but this is important. We've got to have this, and this is the way you got to do it. This is the mannerism I needed in. Are you ready? I said, are you kidding me? Kevin said, let me work with him. He had me for 30 minutes.
Mhm.
And within them 30 minutes, here comes Travolta walking in.
Wow.
And that's a moment.
That's
You know?
a moment.
But it helped because we had already become such good friends,
Mhm.
you know. And so he kind of gives me a wink, and he goes over and he gets in on his spot, and they're getting the cameras all worked out, you know. And they have these stand-ins, as you know, where they'll get all the lights and the cameras and all that worked out. And I'm standing over getting makeup, totally out of my element.
Mhm.
And they say, okay, it's time. We're fixing to roll. I said, okay. So we roll,
Mhm.
and the very first time we went through it, it went beautifully.
Mhm.
And I thought, okay, that's cool.
Mhm.
It's worked out.
Yeah.
They said, all right, back to ones. Back to you, Mark. We're going to do it again. We must have done this 15 times.
And was it you or someone else with their nerves?
No, it was me. And you know, they would get my point of view, they'd get his point of view, they had to get his point of view, you know, so we had to go over and over and keep doing it,
Mhm.
you know, until we gave them enough that they could finally get what they wanted.
Yeah.
You know, really cool moment.
Yeah.
I got to tell you this, though.
Yes.
John told me the very first time, because if you watch the movie in the scene, he hits me.
Mhm.
Okay, he said, look, I'm gonna barely miss you, but you're gonna have to go down.
Right.
So we need to get him a mat. We need to get him some knee pads. I don't need no mat. I don't need no knee pads, man. I fall down all the time.
Right. It's authentic.
Yeah, you know. So he says, are you sure? He said, I'm gonna come by you with a pretty mean punch now. And I said, no, I'm good. You know. The first take, he swings at me, and I jerk around and I twist my knee,
Oh.
and I hit the ground, and I don't let him know.
Just brave through it. Pretend like nothing happened.
I did. And you know, my knee has not been right since that day.
Sacrifice. Do you think you got the shot then? Do you think that was the one?
I hope. Because it felt like it.
And obviously, Hollywood is a lot different than Central Alabama. But I've talked to some filmmakers who say, you know, the Southern hospitality, it's super real, and just folks are so accommodating here and want the entertainment industry to really pick up here.
Yes. And you know, I go to L.A. and people are nice and they're friendly, but it's a different nice and friendly. The people here are nice and friendly and they care. They're interested. They want to know. They want to know how they can help you. You know, to where they, you know, locations when these people come to Alabama, they don't shoot in studios. They shoot on locations. You know, and for these people here to just hand it out.
Mm-hmm.
They're blown away. That don't happen all over the place. You know, yeah, come into my warehouse. You can use my warehouse. Do whatever you want. Take my farm. Do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, they're blown away at the hospitality.
And what do you think it means? We've had kind of the movie scene pick up here in Birmingham in Central Alabama just these past few months. What do you think it means to have a big name movie starring someone who is so considered great like John Travolta?
Well, I think it's just going to. I think it's going to keep getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
mm-hmm.
I have to say that the movie business, by coming to Alabama, is bringing so much revenue here. The job opportunities are growing. We have a group here in Alabama now that are trying to expand that and put training in for crew. Like I mentioned earlier, the things that happen behind the scenes, it's just phenomenal. And there's just so many opportunities for so many young people to work.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to be an actor. Forget that part. Just see how much opportunity they are behind the scenes.
Yeah.
When we go to one of these movies, we probably have 150 people working on set all the time. You know, well, you got your grip and electrical guys, which is a awesome trait. You know, you got your camera guys, you got your decorators, you got your prop people. It takes this whole team to make this thing, to make it work.
Yeah.
And by it coming to Alabama, it's just going to keep bigger and bigger, getting bigger and bigger, and it's just going to give a lot of opportunity. When you have big name actors like Travolta, Morgan Freeman, etc. come in, that means the movie is even bigger. There's more money to hire more people. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like any concert or anything. You know, the bigger the name of the group, the more people come.
And so part of the filming process is at Talladega Superspeedway, and it's not on the main track. It's actually filmed on the short track.
Yes, that's important because it's short track dirt racing. John and I, you know, when all this got started, he kind of when we talked about my acting career and all that, he told me, he said, look, man, he said, you're not going to stop. You know, it's just going to get started for you. And I said, John, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, well, I'm gonna let you know, with too much of a crowd right now, I'll get with you later. Fortunately, he sent his plane and picked me up here in Birmingham and took me to his house, my wife and I. And when we got down there, he started. Well, I kind of got sidetracked there where I was going. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
But but when we got down there, he said, look, Chris, he said, I knew this was out there. I did my homework a little bit, but I didn't want the riches of the rich, you know, getting all the glory. I didn't want the poorest of the poor. I knew there was something in the middle. He said, and this is what we found with the dirt track racing. And the competitive spirit that you guys have every week out there just blew him away. And he said, that's what I was fixated on.